Okay, guys, it's time to add our characters, like our enemies' damage and our heroes' hurt box. Okay, so first we're going to go to our blueprint folder, character, and open up our adventure base. And then we're going to select the capsule component. And we're going to scroll down over here to the section collision. Right here. And you'll notice here it says collision preset pawn. We're going to change this to custom. Right, and then find pawn down in custom. And we are going to change the pawn to overlap. Right, and compile and save. Now we could test the game to check that the characters can now overlap. Which means now we can start calculating some damage. So let's go back to our adventure base. And we're going to select our sprite. And we are going to go down to the material section here. So right here it says material 0. We're going to change this material. So the reason isn't completely obvious right at the moment, but when you get many sprites on the screen, you'll have some like distortion and Z fighting going on. So we're just going to change the material that will fix that. And we are going to look for a translucent unlit sprite material. Okay, compile, save. And now we are going to set it up so that our character doesn't just overlap with us and start to flicker like crazy. We're going to create a stop distance for the enemy. So let's go into our enemy base. Sorry, we're not going to the enemy base. So let's go into our AI controller. And we are going to create a function called get target distance. Okay, so down here we already have access to both our target player and our possessed pawn. We're going to get a reference to our target player. And then we're going to get actor location. All right, so that'll give us our transform information on where that target player is. And then we're going to get the possessed pawn and also get actor location. Okay. So for this purpose, quite obviously, by grabbing both of these, once we know where our player is and our pawn is, we can easily do some math here to get the one actor to go to the other actor and also limit their movement so that they're not completely 100% overlapping. Okay, so with that, we're just going to get the distance, which will be a vector. And we'll plug that in there. And then, of course, we need a return node. Add a return node. And then we'll just plug this into that. And then offer this return value into here like that. Okay. That creates this function we can use to calculate the distance between the two characters, and then we can have one move towards the other. Okay. So while we're in here, we'll go back to the event graph. Okay, and then right here, we've got the event tick, and after the is valid, we're going to add our new function of get target distance. And then from here, we can do a branch. We can check for greater than. We'll plug that into here. And we can just do a check for 10 as our target distance. And now you can see our turkey is very happy, not flipping around like crazy. Okay. If it's not clear to you that it's working, you could always just change this stop distance to 100. Compile and save, play, and then you'll see the turkey will actually stand far back from you. All right. So with that, now we can still overlap, but not so far that the sprites will flicker and do crazy things. Now let's set up the hurt box so we can register damage. So we'll go back to our adventure base, and we're going to go to the viewport, and we're going to select the capsule component, and we're going to add a box collider. Okay, and then with the extents, I'm going to raise it on the Z, take up a little bit more space. Yeah, I'll do it about 70. And I'm probably going to make it a little smaller as well, but I'm going to base this more on the sprites, and you'll see that in a minute. Okay, so with compile and save of this, now all of our characters will inherit this hurt box, which we still need to rename now that I remember. Call it the hurt box. Okay. Now we can go into our blueprint for our enemies. Turkey here, so we'll go turkey. Open full blueprint editor if you need to. I'm just going to delete this. All right, if we go look at our viewport, we'll see that our turkey has inherited the hurt box. Okay, now for the turkey, this hurt box is a little bit on the small size, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it 30 on the X, 40 on the Y. Whatever sprite you're using may vary. I'm just trying to make the collider roughly the sprite's size so that the hits will register. Make sure you compile and save, of course. And now we're going to create our own custom collision preset in order to register these hits. Right? Because right now our collision preset overlap all dynamic. We want to have something a little bit more custom. So for that, we're going to go to Edit Project Settings. Inside of Project Settings, we are going to look under Engine, and we should see something called Collision. We'll select Collision. And then here we got Object Channels, Trace Channels, and then some presets. The presets you guys saw there, we already had the overlap all dynamic preset. So we'll create our own preset. First, we need to create our own object channel. So let's create a new object channel, and we will call it hit detection. Make sure you select the box here. So let's try that again. Hit detection. And of course, the default response will be overlap. We'll click accept. And now we'll scroll down to preset, where we'll see all of the existing presets already in the engine, and we will create a new preset. Where we will call this the same thing, hit detection. And the collision enabled will be query only. Object type will be hit detection. And then of course you could just put like attack damage, something to that nature. It's just a description for you. All right, and then we are going to ignore everything except for hit detection. And click accept. Okay, then we can close our project settings. Now back to our back to our actor. And with the Hurtbox selected, we can go down to where it says custom and switch it to, we need to save first. Save all. You may need to compile and save even sometimes. And now there we go. Now we can see the hit detection. Just apply that. So now we just need to detect when the player is overlapping the hurt box, which belongs in the enemy base. Back to the enemy base. And then we got to go to the viewport, select the hurt box. Scroll down to the collision. All the way down to the events, We're going to do an on component begin overlap. Click the little plus, which brings us to our event graph again. All this. So this is the hurt box of our enemy is now going to be seeking out the hurt box of our player to apply damage to the player. Okay, so which means this hurt box needs to specifically search for the hurt box of the other actor. We're going to pull off of here, and to get reference to our other actor, we're going to cast to pp_hero. And then off of here, we're going to apply damage. We'll set the base damage for now to just 10. And of course, the damaged actor is the BP hero. Compile and save. Don't worry, eventually both the enemies and the player will be taking damage. All that will come with time. The damage event belongs in the overlapping base, the adventurer. Right, so let's go back to the adventurer base, and we're going to go to our event graph. In our event graph, we're going to right click any damage, event any damage. Okay, so any damage done, something will happen. Okay, and then for now, we'll just print the string. And then plug in our damage. Okay, so now if we hit play, we'll see that the damage here gets counted. You can see that the top, the corner of the screen, the player took 10 points of damage. Okay, all right. So that's the end of that one, the enemy damage and hurt box. Stay tuned for the next one.